thoughts on my mind, I can't sleep at night, so I just keep writing. I don't need no help, I don't need opinions, so don't waste my time then. Killing the game and I gotta go ask anybody, they all heard about it. They know when the kid and he's spitting it, know when he getting it, bit and I get in my way. Got this, I like do whatever I say, cause I could go put you on blast. People been mad at me cause I don't follow them back. I'm laughing cause that is so whack. Why they all trying to act like they been bossing when really their boss has been bossing them up? Nobody ever been telling me what I would do when I keep in the cash for the shit out of luck. I want it more, now I get what I wish. Upgrading now with some pants that I whip. Making 6 figures, don't talk about it. Money ain't shit, it's about how you think. Tired of people who making excuses, then they complain about losing. Tell me about what you been doing, tell me about how you been moving. You ain't got nothing to prove then. I did it all on my own, they looking like all of my clones. I don't be following trends, fuck all the popular clothes. You faking and everyone knows. I just be keeping it real, they thinking that I have to go sign a deal, but really the people just found an appeal. I'm in my own lane and I'm steering the wheel, ayy. It's funny how it goes, funny how it goes. Working every night till the sunrise.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again. XCW Hall of Famers franchise player Chris Jones, and none other than XCW owner of operations and Hall of Famer Fletch. I mean, kayfabe broken. They wouldn't see us together if it wasn't. Kicking off the last episode before we go into the season finale, which is a definite heater, which we've already pre-recorded. It's set in stone, never to be lost again.
I hope not. I have it in 3 locations.
Good. So, we're going to talk about a big time in XCW history. We're going to talk about Xtreme King 2015. And it's pretty historic for the simple fact of what culminated in the show. Also, the fact it's a short show.
Well,
everybody
it's not, but it is. Yeah. It's still a 2-hour show, I believe.
Almost everybody playing double duty, except for the people that were in the world title match. Everybody else played double duty. And
the world title match played double duty.
The world title match they played double duty. Hazard and Noah weren't in Xtreme King.
Chris Jones was, though.
Well, true. I always pull fucking double, triple, quadruple duty.
I'm just saying.
You look at ST1 that we talked about in episode 7. And you look at the competitors in there, I think I pulled, like, that was, all those matches...
Yeah, I think you were in at least one of every single...
Yeah. But, going into 2015, we were at the location on Morristown Road.
Mm-hmm.
What do you remember about this time in XCW?
Coming off of being in Boulder, which was my all-time favorite location.
Yeah.
So it's a little disheartening. Like, my mom moved. Like, I was to the point where I could have rented that house myself just to keep our houses there.
Yes.
As you know, my mom, that was my mom's house, and she actually moved out. We did the final 2 shows with an empty house.
We did.
Just to keep us there, because I loved being there. She kept the electricity on and everything just so we could perform our last 2 shows there. So with that, I don't know if I gave it a fair rub.
Yeah. It wasn't the best spot. I'm not gonna
But I hated the camera angles.
Yep.
I
didn't like that.
I hated your roommate.
Which one?
The military guy.
The one that owned the house.
He was a dick.
He was one of the ones I hated the least out of all of them too. Even though he was a dick, I agree.
Yeah, he was a total dick.
He gave me a place to move when I was in a hard spot, breaking up with Allison. I needed a place to go quickly. And I did it to my mom when me and my mom lived together. We both worked at Wendy's, and my boss came and we moved. Well, my Wendy's boss, Steve, came and moved me to a different apartment while my mom was at work.
When you moved to
I moved from
Chris Ann and...
No, that was when I moved from the trailer park back to Jackson Street.
Okay.
But moved me while I was at work, so I did the same thing.
He moves a lot.
He knows from previous helping me move. So I did the same thing with Allison while her and her mom were at work. Her mom caught the tail end of it, unfortunately, so I was hoping to be gone without any of them knowing. But me and my brother moved me all one fucking truckload in the back of my brother's truck, and I was gone. But we got out of there. So it was a place to go. It wasn't the best place. I had to share a room with Trevor.
And it bailed us out.
It did.
Honestly, XCW didn't have a pot to piss in terms of location at the time, and it really bailed us out. So of course I'm thankful for the fact that he gave us that opportunity, but he just overall was not kind to our roster, and I just didn't appreciate that.
Yeah. But going into this big monumental thing, we had the first ever World Championship. LOL coming off winning one of the ST tournaments.
Yep. ST3.
LOL ultimately winning STT. Winning ST3 in the finals against Ryan Grayson. I believe it was Ryan Grayson.
I believe so.
You interfered in the match, whatever, and I think
we were trying to get Ryan Grayson to join. He was part of loyalty.
Yeah, we were trying to get join.
Ultimately,
LOL getting ready to tap out Ryan Grayson.
Poor Ryan Grayson, man. He always gets thrown into these situations. Like, same thing happened to him in EVW, where he didn't want to be in EVW, and then you and Gabe and Genocide treated him like absolute garbage.
There's one promo everybody's got to go back and watch. We shot at your Chatfield Apartments, but like me and Genocide, when we can play heels, we can play some of the funniest types of characters. Like we were talking about Genocide going to get his hair and his nails done, and then Ryan Grayson comes in and talk about him washing our fucking drawers. Like, yeah, you are a bitch. You're my bitch. And I got that from you.
Yeah, I said it to Cynical.
You said it to Cynical.
I did, yeah.
But Ryan Grayson getting the raw end of stuff. So LOL winning ST3, becoming World Championship, and that's what kicks the show off.
Which, man, I really wish that I remembered the thinking behind putting LOL over as World Champion. Not that it was a bad call. Just a very a very different call for us.
It was probably what was going on with Ryan Grayson, the royalty loyalty type thing.
Yeah, it's just very uncharacteristic for us to have LOL come out of such a big tournament to become XW champion. Especially, I knew that we were setting up for Hazard, and it was kind of setting up for Hazard's next swan song, his next retirement. And ultimately, we're going to lead to the death match.
Yeah.
But I'm not really sure why we decided to go with LOL in that point. I don't know.
I know LOL and Hazard kind of doing the feud thing, whatever. Where Hazard training, he was training LOL, made me drink fucking raw eggs, turned the treadmill up on full blast. I tried to get on it, start running. Obviously,
it's funny. Last night before we filmed, because as of this point, we filmed. For Hall of Fame last night. Before Hall of Fame, we were talking the other day just about the match with LOL and Hazard, where LOL's draped over the top of the cage and Hazard does the uppercut. And somebody, I don't remember who it was, asked me, was that supposed to happen or was that a botch? I'm pretty sure it was Deacon Storm. And I was like, no, man, that was the finish. That was what we were doing. So yeah, Hazard and LOL did have a very entertaining.
Because that's when Hazard realized, I fucked up.
Yeah, I think somebody called Hazard Trek because LOL did the green mist. Yeah.
And ultimately, Hazard returned heel. Yeah. After this with LOL.
Yeah.
Kicking off Xtreme King. Kicking off Xtreme King, the world title. Not very common to be the first match of the show, but you have Hazard going up against what used to be his friend. He gave LOL his cape or whatever. Mm-hmm. No, he trained LOL to be better, and LOL won an ST3, so LOL champion going in. Hazard would defeat LOL in this match.
Mm-hmm. Again, if you look at any time in the next calendar year, our goal is to take Xtreme King, and from Xtreme King, that point on, you're building everything revolving around what SummerMania is. By the time Xtreme King gets here, we already are like, all right, this is the card for SummerMania. This is what we're doing at Xtreme King. What do you do to get to that point?
And the funny thing is, at this time in XW history, like, you win Xtreme King, you go to Greed.
Right.
You don't go to SummerMania at this point.
Well, this is where we were transitioning because we knew that we were going to do the double winner. So at this point, we knew that it was going to end up the two winners would face each other at Greed, to then face the champion at SummerMania. Yes. So this was actually the first time, the turning point that got us to where you would go to face the champion at SummerMania instead of Greed. Because once 2017 rolled around, Genocide won. Although he ended up not getting a title shot, he cashed in on me so that Emily could gain ownership of the company. But that would ultimately lead to SummerMania, not Greed. So this was kind of a transition time for changing the layout of how things were written and how the calendar year of XCW would be planned. So back to Hazard and LOL though, we knew, like we said, Hazard was winding down. He had some injuries again, and he wanted to take a back seat, wanted to do some commentary and, be on the sideline. And so we took this opportunity to give Hazard his one last run that would ultimately lead to the Triple Threat Death Match.
Yes, the first time and only time ever in XCW, which also led to the Death Matches rules kind of being contorted a little bit with having to get to the pinfall of 5. Hazard would beat up his former friend LOL, would walk out with the XCW Championship, which would lead to the next match on the card, which is, I believe he is transitioning to the, he's been doing things with Nightmare at the time. It's really James Gerke. I don't remember if he was Madman or he left that already.
I think he was making the transition from Madman James Gerke to the Prince of Pain.
Prince of Pain.
James Gerke, and this is where he's trying to. He's saying that he's the new evil entity. He's the new, he's the new ruler of Dark Side when it pertains to XCW. And Nightmare had been gone.
Yeah, Nightmare gone
for a while at this point. So it was kind of like a calling. He wanted Nightmare to return at SummerMania, and he wanted Nightmare to pass that torch by him defeating him. And that went on deaf ears because we didn't hear from Nightmare until SummerMania 11.
And James Gerke, he was cutting promos in graveyards like I had done previously,
and then I think another one was he had the burning kendo stick. He went through all of a lot of Nightmare's adversaries and a lot of people who had history with him. Devil, Eternal Darkness, he burnt Baby Scully, which was
he about set the garage on fire.
Yeah, he did. I still have that video. But yeah, so that was where we're headed. We were obviously headed towards James Gerke, Nightmare at SummerMania to do a passing of the torch style match. So, he had, I think the thing that stands out most about that feud is that we wanted to give that opportunity for James Gerke to cut those promos. Yeah. Because up until that point, we knew that James Gerke could cut promos better than he was in the ring.
Yeah, way better.
And we wanted to give him that platform, and he prevailed.
Yeah. But it would not be Nightmare in this match James Gerke would be facing. It would be none other than someone who had lots and lots of history with Nightmare, and it is none other than Devil. And they are going head-to-head for the Xtreme Championship, and James Gerke would be victorious.
James Gerke, like I was saying, was just picking off allies and adversaries of Nightmare one by one by one. Eternal Darkness, burning Scully, knocking off Devil for the Xtreme Championship. So week after week, he would decimate all these guys that were closely associated with Nightmare in attempts to bring Nightmare back from the dead and convince Nightmare that SummerMania was the place to be and a passing of the torch was the right way to go. And as we know, Nightmare would eventually answer that call. But it took doing what he did to Devil in this event to get to that point.
It took a very long time. And with that, we're going to go to our first commercial break. More when we come back.
So the day I die, I came to win. Everything I got, I'm all in. All in. All in. Go big or go home, I'm setting the tone, I'm letting them know. I'm playing the game, they playing it safe, I'm raising the stakes. From nothing to something, I'm rising above it. From nothing to something is all that I wanted, I'm all in. it. From nothing to something, but fuck it, I love it. I'm all in. Till the day I die, I came to win. Everything I got, I'm all in. Gonna let it ride, double down again. It's a way of life, I'm all in. Anytime, any place, any night, any day, I'm stepping up to the plate. Till the day I die, I play to win. Till the day I die, I'm all in. I'm all in. I'm all in. Till the day I die.
He could walk out Xtreme Champion after this, and then walk out again tonight after the Battle Royal King and a #1 contender spot for the XCW Championship. He could face Hazard. Oh, look at that. 1, 2.
Gets him into the pin.
Brandon Hobbs, we've seen the build-up between those two
Oh yeah.
since the beginning of the year.
1,
And they're going to be...
Oh,
look at this.
Shoulder. Gets the big man out there. Here, sweet baby Joe. God, he's doing
Looks like
something.
he's setting him up for the bullhammer elbow. And it is! Oh my God,
Jesus.
right across Devil's face!
Dropped him like a ton of bricks. Rolls him over. Gets the pin.
Wow!
Yeah, holy shit.
He made it look easy work defeating Devil.
That's what I'm thinking. I didn't think it would be that easy.
We're back. That amazing footage. And I'm sure once we get to talk about Xtreme King, there might be some clips pop up in there somewhere. But, semi-main event, we are giving the chance for Carnage and Brandon Hardcore Hobbs. They are going head-to-head.
Is this a cage match?
This is a cage match for the international title.
It was a very short match, too. It was not a long match at all.
It was nasty.
It was nasty. An Omega driver inside the cage.
On the ground. It wasn't on the mattress. Like, Brandon, can you not hit the mattresses? Just wait till we talk about the Xtreme King. He doesn't hit the mattress there either. Good God.
Yeah, so, and we had a lot of things building up with them, as you talked about earlier, the big garage, the pole barn that we had available there, which, goddamn, I wish we had now, since we have rings. You could fit both the rings that we own now inside that one building, and then some. That place was massive. But there was a couple times where, like, Jesse Justice, Brandon Hobbs, and Carnage was all in there beating the shit out of each other, and then we had to run in and break them all up, and we were really trying to get over Brandon Hobbs being hardcore, and as you would tell in the coming months after this Xtreme King, I mean, the things that he did to Carnage and Billy Nova and Stevie Goble is just unfucking real.
And
this was probably one of Brandon Hobbs' most devastating runs in XCW.
And the match that he would go into at SummerMania with Billy Nova and Stevie Goble was just that, hardcore.
Yeah, it was.
There we are. The cage is shot. We're ready.
International Championships on the line. Right here, Carnage Brandon Hobbs, 1-on-1. In the steel cage at Xtreme King.
A small venue. Nowhere left to run, really. Oh, I mean, it's all around you. It's going to hurt.
Oh, man!
It's like you read his mind. Fortunately, Carnage wishing he didn't.
Oh, my God! Oh, my God! Brandon Hobbs gets out of it. No, he's going for the Omega driver. Oh, my God!
Oh, the straight fucking
And
kills
this match
him.
would definitely see Brandon Hobbs defeating Carnage.
Just for the international.
It was for the national title.
Yeah.
But that's not what Xtreme King is about, ladies and gentlemen. It is about that Xtreme King Battle Royal. At this time, it is about who is going to greed to get their shot at the world title. You had the likes previous years of Chris Jones winning 2004, going on to defeat DTC. You had the likes of Genocide, I believe, winning it before this time. Corey Lee had won one before this time. And everybody had went on to face their opponent
Except for DTC.
I was getting there. Except for one person, DTC, in 2005. Little known fact, Hazard would walk out on XCW due to some personal issues, but Hazard would come back. DTC would put his Xtreme King, like he won, he would put that on the line, and Hazard would beat DTC and would go on to fight me in the first one.
Here we are. Xtreme King 2015. Plain and simple. I'm walking in a one-time Xtreme King winner. And when I run through everybody, Corey Lee, Genocide, Stevie Goble, Devil, whoever's in this fucking match, it doesn't matter. I'm walking out a two-time Xtreme King winner. Believe that. Hashtag respect royalty.
No, it's funny. And here it is, June 13th, 2015. It's Xtreme King, and I'm going into the Battle Royal as one of the Xtreme King winners. But what's funny is 10 years ago, everybody knows what happened. My father passed away. And then 5 years ago, I won the Xtreme King Battle Royal on this very date. But tonight, I'm going in the Battle Royal, and I'm walking out two-time Xtreme King winner.
Time of year again. Xtreme King. I've won once before. I feel like I'm going to do it again this year. Every year I've practically been down to the bottom four. I've had it in my grasp multiple times. I've only won it one time. Everybody else says they're going to win it tonight. I'm going to prove them wrong.
Alright? I did Xtreme King Battle Royal. I need a drinking champion.
Xtreme King. You know, when I first got here, no one said I could do what I've done. I am one half of the XCW Tag Team Champion. And you know, tonight, I'm gonna walk out of here with my first Xtreme King win. And I will go and win the XCW Heavyweight Championship.
Little history there for you. In this Xtreme King match, we would have the likes of Chris Jones, Fletch, Stevie Goble, Devil, Joker, James Gerke, Dorgon, Eternal Darkness, Ox Cannon, Psycho Circus Clown, DTC, and Kevin Harris, which, ironically, being tag team partners, would kick the shit out of each other for some reason.
Yeah, DTC, Kevin Harris were members of the royalty.
And they were tag champions.
All the
Beat
King's
the
men.
shit out of each other.
All the King's men. Yeah.
Carnage, Brandon Hobbs, Corey Lee, Genocide, and it would come time. Ryan Grace was not the last entrant, yourself was. But Ryan Grace's music would hit, and he would be nowhere to be found going into this match. What do you remember about this whole setup?
So at the time, Ryan Grayson was an active member of the military.
Yes.
So there were some dates that there was no way that we could get around for Ryan Grayson. And unfortunately, this was one of those dates. But we knew that we were going to have a clean slate after this event up to SummerMania, and ultimately that would build us toward Mr. SummerMania Cup for the Xtreme Championship between himself and Corey Lee, which would ultimately then also see Ryan Grayson's manager, Michaela, turning her back on Ryan Grayson and helping Corey Lee defeat Ryan Grayson at SummerMania 11, and then we would reveal that there was also a romantic relationship between Corey Lee and Michaela,
And they would do
following that
a little bit of this.
Yeah, been there, done that.
Yeah. But this match would see lots of interesting things befall itself. Like I said, you mentioned Ryan Grayson due to Army reasonings not being here.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how we set it up with music playing, him not coming out. You being the last entrant, you were on commentary
Yes.
this whole time.
With JJ, yeah.
Why was that?
Well, okay, so at the time, some people may know, some people don't know, James Cerebral suffered a pretty bad injury at Cold Day in Hell of that year when he decided that it would be a good idea to jump off the roof while building our set. instead of climbing down the ladder that was literally set up right next to where he was standing.
Yep.
So apparently he thought it would be a good idea to take the leap off the house.
For some reason, expecting Brand Hobbs, of all people, to catch him.
And broke his leg, I mean, to the point
It was
where
bad.
bones sticking out of his leg. He was carted out of there, you know, Joshua! And so, so James Cerebral ended up being on commentary for a majority of that year. For whatever reason, the trend of James Cerebral being an unreliable prick would begin in this era.
The funny thing is, he was supposed to face me at Cold Day. I remember it very handsomely. Because
It was a tag match with himself and Ox Cannon against you and Psychor.
Yeah, I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
And we always make the joke, oh, you're afraid to face Chris Jones. Like, if I had to face Chris Jones, I'd jump off the roof too. And ultimately,
he was replaced by Jacob Cyanide.
we would use this, James Cerebral breaking his ankle, we would use this in our match at SummerMania, which is how I was able to finally, defeat him, win my first New Age title, because most good guys in the I Quit match aren't the ones that lose the I Quit match.
Right.
And we used the ankle injury to be able to do that. But, like we said, James Cerebral breaking his foot. You were on commentary.
Yeah, I ended up being on commentary throughout until SummerMania. I wasn't even on the SummerMania card that year.
Yep.
I wrestled on the pre-show against Swatman in the absolute worst match.
You shut your mouth. Hey, writers, Blackheart, Corey Lee, writers, book Swap Man.
No!
2 verse 1.
It's happened.
Done. I'll take you out to dinner.
It's already happened.
Yep. SummerMania. Fletch.
Okay, Swatman can come back. But how fast can you put your gear on?
You coming back, Chris?
I don't know. It depends. I did wrestle 4 characters in the same Xtreme King.
But yeah, I wrestled Swatman in the pre-show SummerMania 11. It was absolutely fucking terrible. But I would stay on commentary throughout SummerMania, and then we knew that Hazard would ultimately be leaving active duty at the time in ring. So he would then be joining JJ long term on commentary, and he would be on commentary throughout that all the way up until the end, 2016.
Before we get to the end of this match, we're going to talk about some of the things that did happen in this match. The first thing that happened in this match, I absolutely die every time I see it. Brandon Hobbs comes out, being Brandon Hobbs, kicking ass, all this stuff. First person he goes after, Carnage. Makes sense.
Yes.
He goes out, Carnage on his knees. I think he just took a move from Corey Lee or something. But Carnage on his knees. Out there, Brandon Hobbs comes out and does the Bubba Ray elbow. He hits Carnage in the head. Not only does he hits him pretty good, but he falls over Carnage into a bush. That is jutting out from the porch. You remember the bush is coming out from the porch? Yeah. He elbow dropped. He fucking hit Carnage and then into the. You can see it. You can see it. He hits that bush. Now he doesn't fall all the way in the bush, but he hits the bush. You also see Brandon Hobbs. I spoke on this before. Never does the Omega Driver on the fucking mattresses. Poor Kevin Harris. Twice. The same guy twice.
He didn't do it on the sidewalk at least, right? He did it great.
No, the first one, because you had the mattresses and the sidewalk's right there. You can't tell. It might have been on the sidewalk. The sidewalk was right next to the mattresses. But that would be the first one. He would hit Kevin Harris with another Omega Driver later on the match. On the ground. You would see the likes.
Well, hey, Kevin Harris took some weird shit. You powerbombed him. You did a running sit-down powerbomb through a table up on a chair sideways. I mean,
yeah, you're right.
He did some stuff.
Not only with that, we would see the likes of the beginning of the match would involve like Stevie Goebel, Joker, James Gerke, and Devil, and we would see Gerke with haste eliminate the majority of those guys. Like, he might have pinned everybody.
It was a building period for James Gerke.
And Gerke would then sit down. And, it's not very common for there to be nobody in the ring with somebody in an Xtreme King match at this point. So Gerke literally had a minute and a half of free time just to sit there and catch his breath. would not help him because he would not win this match. Later on in the match, like I said, all King's
Then
men,
that worked out for him. He would go on to win Money in the Bank later
Yeah.
in the year. So
all King's men, Dynamite DTC, and Kevin Harris would be going at it in this match. Like, it'd be like Chris Jones and Fletch of 2020. Like they were feuding. I don't know why. There would be a point in the match where I think things were getting a little heated. So, like, being the veterans that we were, we would
that
say,
happens in DTC matches. Yeah.
not with me, except when it kicked me in the face.
Not with me either, but
But we would set up the spot. Something would happen. DTC would get rolled up, and all three of us would pin him, so he could not kick out. Do you remember this?
no.
All right. Well,
It doesn't surprise me, but no.
it might be one of the clips you pop up while we're doing this.
Royalty at the end here. Whoa.
Hits him, look at this, they're holding him down. They're all on him. And that's it. DTC loses.
Stupid motherfucker.
As Xtreme King would start to boil down, you would see it come down to Royalty being myself, you, and Kevin Harris. And if you remember right, a week before this, you posted a poll on the website. Which one of Royalty do you think would win Xtreme King? The weird thing is, you put Kevin Harris, you put myself, and James Cerebral. James Cerebral was not a...
He was a member. He was not in the match.
He's not a participant in this match, so he could not win Xtreme King.
But he was a member
Yeah.
of Royalty because
So maybe you were trying
he turned his back
I remember
at
this.
allegiance to cost loyalty to the
I was just
match.
curious on why he wasn't named to win this match. The question, like the little survey you posted.
I'm assuming, with his flakiness, he was scheduled to be a part of this match.
DTC would get eliminated. You see the likes of Genocide get eliminated, Brain Hobbs, Oregon, etc. And it come down to
And
Royalty.
it was weird back then because all of our eliminations for Xtreme King were by pinfall.
Yeah.
So
Or submission.
it hurt, I think it hurt a lot of people career-wise because you have to take that fall regardless.
Yeah. You, me, Kevin Harris, 3 members of Royalty. The last 2 members non-Royalty.
Yeah, poor Corey Lee.
It wasn't just Corey Lee, it was James Gerke was the final 5 first. I don't remember what happened to Gerke. Corey Lee might have eliminated him on accident. I really don't remember. But it would come down...
Well, that was a poor decision by Corey Lee.
I could be wrong. I don't remember exactly what happened to Gerke. It would come down, like we might have triple pinned him or something. It came down to 3 members of Royalty and Corey Lee, final 4. And we let Corey Lee be that ball of fire we needed that good guy to be. First off, we started kicking his ass. And then he started, building up that good guy momentum. I'd be like, stand back, guys, stand back. And then I went to super kick Corey Lee. And we did this setup so perfectly. When I went to super kick Corey Lee, he was already in FML position. So, my super kick went over Corey Lee, and then I caught his knees for the FML. And then Kevin Harris would turn around, bam, running knees. And I'm surprised, Corey Lee wrestled with his shirt off in this match. Very interesting. I was talking to some people before I was writing this episode, and, talking about Blackheart, and Blackheart's like, Corey Lee wrestled with his shirt off? I'm like, yeah, there it is.
Was it hot that day?
That's good.
It would ultimately lead to you distracting Corey Lee. All 3 of us roll him. Well, me and Kevin Harris would roll him up, and then you would get on top for the big guy pin. Corey Lee would not kick out. Bitches.
Yeah, I wouldn't have kicked that either.
Last 3 members of this Xtreme King match is Royalty, and we all, we dabbed, we shook hands, and you just stood there. And me and Kevin Harris, we went at it like fire. And it would lead to...
It was smart on my part, right?
Yeah, it was very smart. It would lead to Kevin Harris... excuse me, Kevin Harris going for a curb stomp. And we know we did the Seth Rollins, Randy Orton. Kevin Harris pop up in the air, catch him for that JKO. 1, 2, 3. Kevin Harris is done. Final 2. No surprise. Fletch, Chris Jones. And it's not like Chris Jones, Kevin Harris. You kicked my ass for the first part of this.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that stands out to me is we went for the final breath. You did the flip over. We did the Rough Rider. Yeah, really cool spot. It's the first time that we did that spot.
We didn't know if we could do it. We had to practice it. So.
Yeah.
And then ultimately led to a schoolboy type roll up where we
right hooked my legs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And 1, 2, 3. You would get
Poor Logan.
You kidding?
He about got his ass
I
kicked.
super kicked him.
Yeah, he about got his ass kicked for real.
Hard. And it will lead to the first ever co-champions for XCW Xtreme King, and it'd be my second Xtreme King win.
Ultimately, it was just to give us a big time match for Greed,
And
by time, because we were also trying to get Austin healthy enough to be a part of the match.
part of the death match. And at this time, there was also supposed to be a setup at one point that it was supposed to be me and Austin as a tag team, which is why Chris Jones went.
Canadian Revelation.
Yeah, we were supposed to come out to Like a Storm, but it was why Chris Jones changed from like the blue gear to the red gear with the Revelation. It was supposed to be me and Austin. The blinking glasses, which we still got to use those. One of the best ideas I've ever had, I think. And ultimately, you and I went on to Greed. We had an amazing match. But the ending of this show would be one of the funnest impromptu things we've ever done. You know, if we fucking say, I win, no, I win. I say, okay, you win. And raise your hand. I'm like, no, I'm just lying. I win. Ultimately, Greed.
I think a lot of that was stolen off the Team Hell No thing.
Yes, it was. I remember. And ultimately lead to the referee getting super kicked for not declaring me the winner. So you kind of couldn't kick his ass because I just did.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you probably would have.
Yeah.
And it would ultimately lead to me defeating you at Greed to go on to face Hazard and Triple Threat Death.
And then you got screwed anyway because Austin got stuck into the match.
And they got screwed anyways. Go figure. One of Hazard's fucking relatives.
Nobody got screwed more than me having to wrestle Swap Man. I went from winning Xtreme King to wrestle Swap Man on the pre-show.
Hope he's ready to wrestle again.
Maybe it was punishment for losing at Xtreme King.
I fucking guess.
But ultimately, this Greed, I'll say lesser matches. I would say, if I'm playing Dave Meltzer, I'm going to give it probably 4.5.
I give it a 3.5.
The matches were good. And one of the more historic Xtreme Kings being the fact that, you know, first ever co-winners, first ever two-time winner. Mm-hmm. Were you happy with like how the show went overall?
Yeah. Honestly, I thought that Xtreme King was better than that year's Summer Mania.
Some aspects, yeah.
Yeah, Summer Mania just did not live up to the hype. I think that was almost a nail in the coffin on Summer Mania. We would redeem ourselves with Summer Mania 12 in 2017. It was a awesome event.
Yep.
But yeah, this Summer Mania was not great. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, in that era, the show with you and Ox and the Xtreme King are probably two standouts, and then there's one other show that's a big standout, and that's the one that features the Monsters Ball between Corey Lee and Hazard.
What do you think about the EBW shows in this era? Because we had 2 EBW shows out there as well.
Well, that was actually the year prior to
okay.
that.
Same location.
And I enjoyed it for EBW because it gave a different feel for XCW. But then I also felt like that once we had to move XCW there, it did take away from the luster of what EBW was, which is one of the reasons why we would contest XCW shows more in the front
versus where we did the back.
Right.
And
just to give it a different feel.
Some monumental moments there. Matt Chincho being thrown into the cornfield.
Yep.
You had the EBW championship defended there. Gabe being the only person inducted into the EBW Hall of Fame, the first announcer to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. The False Count Anywhere matches, the street fights, just everything we did. The promos, everybody was on point. The little genocide, Chris Jones, Corey Lee, Ryan Grayson feud, everything was great there. Mm-hmm. But we're coming to an end with season 4, and there's only one more episode left. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you who that guest is. This guest is the creator of the phrase, fucking right, doggy.
Well, kind of. Stifler was, but...
Sure. This guest would be probably our best friend since, well, yours since way before mine, but the majority of our lives. One of the longest reigning XCW champions, former multi-time Xtreme champion, and one of the big names in VK2. I'm talking about none other than the icon, Cynical. Join us for episode 10.
Too many thoughts in my mind, I can't sleep at night, so I just keep writing. I don't need no help, I don't need opinions, so don't waste our time then. Killing the game and I gotta go ask anybody, they all heard about it. They know when the kid and he's spitting it, know when he get in it, bit and I get in my way. Got this, I like do whatever I say, cause I could go put you on blast. People been mad at me cause I don't follow them back. I'm laughing cause that is so whack. Why they all trying to act like they been bossing when really their boss has been bossing them up? Nobody ever been telling me what I would do when I keep in the cash, right the shit out of luck. Ayy. It's funny how it goes, funny how it goes. Talking about shit they don't even know. Why they tryna tell me about what I should do? They don't know about the shit I've been through. It ain't what it seems, it ain't what it seems. Been 4 years, I've been chasing dreams. This ain't overnight, this ain't overnight. Working every night till the sunrise.